Islam isn't spreading all over the planet. I mean, it's just simply crazy. Just type in global maps of rape worldwide, and the highest place in the world is Sweden. Now, here's the video where I break all this down. Alex responds to Chobani Soros-backed lawsuits. I'll break all that down in the next longer segment. But look at this commenter right here, and I see this a lot. Blue Mountain 48. I hope, Alex, you don't talk about this for 2 weeks, about this lawsuit. Gee, it's only $10,000. Alex makes that in one day. I make that in one day? No, I battled to fund this operation because it's the main outpost of resistance. Now, let me show you the Idaho Statesman, okay, by Zach Kyle. The whole article is basically fiction, except for one part. Chobani seeks, that's the name of the company. I love how it's called Greek yogurt. It's called Chobani. I guess the Muslims did take over Greece for a while, so they're really, I guess, Muslims there now, or at least in their bloodline. There's been lawsuits over the fact it's not really Greek yogurt. Again, it's this total imposter system. Seeks at least $10,000 in damages, attorney's fees, and punitive damages. Punitive. That could be $100 million, like the Hulk Hogan case. Punitive, punitive, punitive. Man. They point out we're on 580 AM. You know, KIDO. You know behind the scenes. I bet they're trying to get us off that station. You know it. I'm going to be going to Idaho now. I'm going to be going on that local radio station. I am going to bring investigative crews there. I'm going to show what the locals are doing. I'm going to show the Islamists getting off the planes. You want to fight? You better believe, baby, you got one. It's not Chobani suing me. It's Hamid Ulukia. Hamid Ulukia. That is who. Bill Clinton's buddy. The guy that works for George Soros to bring people in. And then he turns around and he's on the Federal Reserve Board at 44 years of age when citizens can't even find out what's going on that. Talk about foreign rule. I cannot wait for the depositions. I cannot wait to depose this guy. Let me just tell the listeners something real quick before we go to break and come back. I'm going to hit some North Korea news and some other big news. On this rock, I plant my flag. I am going to fight this. I just, gut level, I know they have really miscalculated. I talked to Mike Cernovich. He agrees. He's a lawyer. We're talking to some other top lawyers right now. But this is a perfect opening now because it's a story we can document. It's where we're just reporting on other people's news. They're trying to shut us down, shut us up, saying we're fake. This is crazy. Absolutely incredible, ladies and gentlemen, have the fake media saying this. But listen, we need your financial support and your prayers more than ever. We've been discounting 33% off Caveman, the bone broth, turmeric, chaga mushroom, bee pollen, and more formula. It's amazing. But I decided I want to go 20% more off that. It's 53% off right now. And by the way, it's going to sell out in like a week. I want you to try it because it tastes so good. It's amazing. It's kind of like when new products come out, sometimes the store will give you free samples or whatever to see how good they are. That's pretty much what this is. 53% off, big old keg of this, concentrated bone broth, super healthy, amazing. Go find out all the great things it does. Sign up for auto ship an additional 10% off, InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. The ultimate paleo formula. We have other big discounts, super blue bubblegum flavor for kids, fluoride free with all the other great additives that are all natural to it, like the colloidal silver and the iodine. That's about to sell out. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. We don't have the federal school lunch program, $15 billion or whatever, like Chobani does. We don't have all the government contracts or George Soros money. We just have you supporting us. So please support us and get great products. We'll be right back.
The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Try not laughing at this headline. Survey. 1 in 5 adults in the United Kingdom can't change a light bulb or boil an egg. This according to a survey of more than 2,000 people on their habits around the house. Listen to some of these shocking statistics. 31% of people could not cook a meal without a recipe. 34% of people cannot read a map. 38% of people could not unclog a sink. 47% of people don't know how to check oil levels in a car. 53% of people could not put up a shelf. A shelf! Now, while this survey was done in the UK, I wouldn't be shocked if you got some of the same results in big cities here in the United States. This is a perfect example of how modern-day education systems and lifestyles are domesticating our society so that we cannot function independently.
I am shocked that he interrupted me while I was watching All My Balls! That is not okay! And I rest my case!
For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer.
InfoWars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds, even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary processing technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender Armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win. Anthony Gucciardi joins us to talk about BioPCA, the latest formula to be announced and released by InfoWarsLife.com. They're true game changers, they're organic, they're proven as safe, and they're also very affordable.
Exactly. You talk about being a game changer, right? You talk about, we're in an industry where we talk to the industry leaders. We've both talked to them. They have individuals that are hired only to save money and get the lowest quality junk and put it in as many capsules as possible so they can make the highest profit margins. Okay? We refuse to screw people. We refuse to do that. We actually want to make something that's good.
I went on what Mother Nature gave us, and it's changed my life, and it's also helped the info war change the country and the world. It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com.
Receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
You know, you got some guy that works for George Soros to open the borders up and bring in refugees. He works for the UN plan and Peter Sutherland to Islamify Europe. I mean, that's what the UN program is. He's pushing this colonization big time. His name's Hamid Ulukaya. And he's filed suit on me claiming I wanted to hurt his company and have people not eat his yogurt. No, we covered other reports confirming people have now pled guilty, refugees that were brought into the town that you push, who now pled guilty to these assaults that the media said didn't exist for a year. And then we were picked as a publicity stunt to try to smokescreen the fact that the refugee program has now given a black eye to this guy's company by his actions, just like Starbucks is down 20-something% in their profits right now, or more, because they said we're going to hire a bunch of refugees. People are sick of it. Your actions caused this to happen to you. Your actions, Hillary Clinton, made you lose the election. I could care less. In fact, I didn't even ever put two and two together with the yogurt, because the few times I've eaten it, it tastes... I don't like Greek yogurt to begin with. It doesn't have any flavor. And yours tasted like drying paint. And I don't say that because you're a Muslim. If you were a Muslim not trying to open the borders and bring all these people in and pushing all this garbage, and you weren't with George Soros and your yogurt tasted good, I'd buy it from you. I am so honored and so blessed to have a guy hooked into the global initiative, buddies with George Soros, involved with the global refugee Islamic movement, coming after me. And to have them all over the news saying, oh, we couldn't instantly or, couldn't get a comment right away, Fox News says. We didn't immediately get a comment. They never let me comment. They never show what I say in the news. They never let me counter. They just lie, and pretend like they're mainstream news, pretend like they're trustable news. They're total garbage. Yes, InfoWars didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Yeah, I called that reporter, by the way, this morning. Good luck, a lot of you have any quotes. All they do is cherry pick a bunch of bull and then show a photo of me with police all around me like I've been arrested. No, it's not a fake news story this guy pushes bringing in refugees. It's not a fake news story that there's now been reports of this and people pleading guilty. Does that mean he directly wanted it? No. But when you bring in unvetted Islamist hordes, you better believe you're bringing in some rapists, because that's part of the culture over there, just like Somalia. When I said that rock star hip-hop lady wants to bring in more unvetted refugees, I said, don't go to Somalia, lady. You'll get gang raped. People said, oh, my gosh. He wants you to get gang raped. No, it's a figure of speech. You want us to live under this, but you live behind armed guards. You've got bodyguards, Michael Moore, but you don't want us to have guns. The refugees have now admitted the sex attack on a disabled girl in Idaho, reportedly peed in her mouth as well. Oh, I got articles right here where Islamists raped a little girl anally, and they didn't do anything because they said, well, that's just their culture, and he couldn't understand no. And I've got a whole stack of news coming up in the next segment, or in this segment actually, from a tape report I put out, breaking all of this down. So, we need your prayers, we need your support, we need you to support our local affiliates, we need you to call our local Idaho affiliate, because I bet you $1 million are trying to kick us off that station, and send them donations and support them and stand up for them, because we've got to hang together or hang separate. And you need to go to InfoWarsStore.com. Your family needs a high-quality gravity-fed filter, stainless steel, sits on the counter, looks great. Your family needs non-GMO, high-quality, storable foods. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, please financially support us. Support our local stations, purchase our products. You need them, we need the funding, and I will stand up against this lawsuit. I will depose them. I will get their corporate documents. I will get how they're funded by the government, the school lunch program to force feed kids. You see what happened under Michelle Obama. We will stand up and fight if you really want us to. And if the support comes in, I'm going to fight. And by the way, under the last 2 weeks of unprecedented attacks and demonization, we have seen record support. So I'm taking that as a signal that you want me to go full steam ahead, ramming speed, no quarter, and you've got it. I can feel your prayers. I can feel your support. I can feel your love. I can physically see it. Now, we are bringing in more funds than we ever have for this time of year. But we're expanding, and we've got major enemies attacking. And so we need to really increase the funding massively. If you've never purchased a T-shirt or a high-quality non-GMO coffee or the nutraceuticals or the X2 or the lung cleanse or the parasite cleanse or the brain force or the fluoride-free colloidal silver iodine toothpaste or our vitamin B12 or our liver shield or the great oxy powder and the knockout, do it today. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. Support us, pray for us, and we are all in this together. But you want to fight? You've got to stand up. Only a fraction of the listeners spread our links. It's changed the world. Only a fraction of the listeners buy the products. It's changed the world. We're under attack because we're changing the world together. Le Pen is in the runoff to win. She's like Ron Paul. Better than Trump. Nationalism surging. Humanity's awakening. And they want to intimidate us. If they can shut us down, they can shut everybody down. Google admits they're censoring us. It's all coming out. Leakers need to put out more info. And here's the final thing I'm going to say that's most important. They're failing in all these attacks. But they're assassinating my character first with the general public before fake criminal charges or murder. And I don't say this to be dramatic. I'm smart. I've studied things. I have a feel for this. This is what they do before they kill you. They want me silenced. They want me under system so I can't speak out while they quietly destroy me. All these little Lilliputians. It's not going to work. We're standing together. But this is the equivalent of the Alamo against the globalist or 300. I'm on the beach with our listeners, the front line, battling. I need other talk show hosts, other news sites, and everybody else out there to support us. They don't want you to see my response to Chobani. They're not going to put it anywhere. Watch. It's up to you to get it out. It's up to Drudge to post it if he wants to. But whatever, I need your help. I stand with everybody else. I stand with everybody else when they're under attack, when they're being boycotted. But I understand we hang together or we hang separate. I need your hopes. I need your prayers. I need your financial support. And I need you to spread the links and the articles on critical news and information. I need you to understand how far we've already come. And we shouldn't be pessimistic because they're attacking us. That's because we're starting to win. We're over the target. So I want to see a record surge in funding, because even though we've seen a record support, it is barely enough in the face of all this, and I want to expand. I don't want to just stay the same size. I want to grow in the face of the enemy. We have a job to do. These are products you need. They're game-changing. It supports the broadcast. Sign up for auto ships. You can support us every month. Get 10% off. Free shipping on $50 or more. Infowarsstore.com or 888-253-3139. And please pray for my crew and pray for our sponsors and our affiliates as well. And support those local sponsors. Don't sit there and think somebody else is going to do it, or, oh, thank God Alex is there. I'm not chastising you, but this is the main battle. This is the main enemy assault. It's every week new attacks, and we're getting stronger in the face of it because you're pulling through for us. But we got to keep pulling hard here, or the globalists are going to absolutely... You know, people say, oh, he acts like a football coach. That's what men did before they went to war, or before they rallied the troops. Football is a facsimile of war. It's not real. Football coaches are copying what men used to do to rally people to stand up for their people. I'm not acting like a football coach. They're acting like what men used to do, rallying people to take action. This isn't some game, people. There's a total Islamic takeover taking place. Behind the scenes, they got Muslims following me around. You wouldn't believe the crap they're pulling, man. The damn cult. And I'm ready to take them on. But I need your prayers. Christ, please help us win this. Please help me be strong, and please help the listeners understand how serious this is. Let's go to my special report, and David Knight's coming up. I'm Alex Jones, telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. April 24th, 2017. That's the day you can mark your calendars that George Soros openly tried to take down InfoWars. Yeah, he funds Media Matters and David Brocken is trying to shut down InfoWars and every other libertarian pro-America group. And sure, he's involved with MSNBC and the WikiLeaks with Hillary trying to steal the election. And sure, he's been caught with the United Nations in the WikiLeaks trying to set up a system where only his news is available to the public. News he approves. But the Nazi collaborator jumped the shark today, April 24th, 2017. He had his Islamicist-owned and backed U.S. company openly file suit against InfoWars today for stating information that is part of the public record. They have taken our kindness for weakness, and George Soros and his Islamicist buddies are now about to beat not Alex Jones, but the American people. Let me just first show you a few headlines from today, but also the recent past, just to illustrate what I'm about to lay out to you. Look at this headline, Associated Press today. Chobani Yogurt Company sues right-wing radio host Alex Jones. And it says, because I claim Islamic migrants, quote, refugees are unvetted, which they are, and that 20% or more have TB, and because this guy promotes the importation of these people, I'm a liar, so they're suing me. They also say that he's been caught bringing in Islamicists who have now pled guilty to rape. Well, let me then clarify or correct myself here. I'm not saying he consciously brought in people he thought were going to rape, but people he brought in and force-fed on America have now been implicated, indicted, and have pled guilty to that. But here's what's even crazier. The owner of Chobani, who appeared out of nowhere in the late 1990s here in the United States, immigrated here in 1994, he is on the New York Federal Reserve. That's the New York Fed that under the 1913 Federal Reserve Act controls all the other regional banks in the United States And Donald Trump is even having trouble removing the New York Fed. So how is this guy, who just got here in the 90s, on the New York Fed, but citizens can't even get details of what's happening? And he comes here from countries that don't have any freedom. Turkey's now an Islamic dictatorship, threatening to invade Europe if they don't submit. He comes here with clear backing of the government of Turkey. Turkey's infiltrated us up one side and down the other. That's admitted. Setting up thousands of public schools, private schools, you name it. He shows up out of nowhere, gets huge portions of the U.S. lunch program. I'm going to cover that in a moment. Kind of like Carlos Slim, the Mexican kingpin that owns the New York Times, gets the Obama phone contracts, billions a year. And then they pick us to file a lawsuit on. And why is that? Because we're the tip of the spear, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to go over all the evidence right now. Here it is. Refreshing to meet George Soros and hear about his work, looking forward to collaborating with him and the refugees. That was a couple of years ago, and we now see, with the flood of 80% military-aged men, the 5 million people in Europe, what's happening here, the giant political snake that is chewing at us. So here's the Aiken Group that George Soros founded. I'm going to show you in a moment. George Soros' law firm that is suing us for reporting on what I'm about to show you all over mainstream news. TB skyrocketing, coming from the Islamicists, what his company's doing, that he's pushing for more unvetted refugees, all of this. But they go on to say that Idaho yogurt maker caught importing migrant rapist. So they threatened me a couple weeks ago with a lawsuit. So we even changed the headlines. They didn't care. They went ahead and filed the lawsuit. Even though you could technically probably argue our headlines, I said, yeah, maybe you didn't know that it's part of the Islamic religion to rape women that aren't attended and put hoods over their heads and enslave them. Maybe he's not really a Muslim, even though he is. But I said, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's a heretic. So I said, let's not say, let's say people he brought in have been pleading guilty to rape, and that TB's exploding from folks being brought in. But let's not, didn't matter to them. Statutorily, it's all about teaching me to shut up, teaching me to back down, teaching all of us to go away, which isn't going to happen. They've taken my kindness for weakness. Oh, Chobani, get ready. Chobani founder gets threats, and the calls are now coming out to boycott bringing in more refugees. That was last year. That's NBC News, not us. Here's another headline. U.S. yogurt billionaire asks businesses to hire more foreign refugees. Turkish Chobani owner has deep ties to Clinton Global Initiative and Clinton campaign, 2016. Then you turn the page, they have links to it. It turns out he's involved with Democrats, the unions. He got all this money from federal government. He spent all this money on lobbying. And then you find out refugee advocate is also on the board of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York while still being a Turkish citizen, and has been named eminent advocate for the United Nations Refugee Program, which is run by Peter Sutherland, that says the Islamic invasion is about ending Western civilization and freedom.
Under the 1951 Convention and the preamble, which all the countries in the world effectively that we're talking about are signatories to, refugees are the responsibility of the world. The day of hiding behind borders and fences is long gone. We have to work together and to cooperate together to make a better world.
So let's look at this international prospectus from international investors titled Alpha Company or Die, looking at the Aiken Group. The firm's New York offices started with 3 clients. And number 3 was George Soros. The Aiken Group built out its business from there. The firm's investment management practice now boasts 60 lawyers plus 45 tax attorneys, and they've filed suit on us. So you want me to fight the globalists? You want me to take on the New World Order that hijacked America, open the borders up, and is bringing in the Islamicists here and in Europe? Well, they're going to come after us. So everyone should be conscious. Google just got caught censoring us and had to admit it. Soros and his Media Matters is openly trying to shut us down. And now they've got lawsuits. Expose it. Speak out against it. Literally, I never knew what Chobani yogurt was. I thought it was a joke the few times I ate it. But again, that's why they target school lunch programs. Because in my opinion, it tastes like dried paint. So I'm being sued for saying Islamicists are bringing in TB. I'm being sued for saying that some of them have, been pleading guilty to rape. I'm sure you weren't conscious. Again, I'll retract that. So let's look at the headlines. TB spiked 500% in Twin Falls during 2012 as Chobani Yogurt opened the plant. The blessings just continue. 7 refugees with active TB sent to Idaho when they know they have it. 22% of residents, refugees in Minnesota tested positive for tuberculosis. It doesn't matter. They're arrogant Muslims running around, killing each other in their own countries. It doesn't matter. We'll roll over to them. We have no common sense. We have no life force. We have no resistance. I do. Report tuberculosis in the United States, 2015, CDC, exploding. Chobani and Phage face lawsuits over sugar content and Greekness. Oh. Competitors are taking Chobani to court over scare tactics used in its ads. Oh, bullying. Chobani Greek yogurt accused in lawsuit of not being Greek and deceiving customers with nutritional benefits. Oh, but don't worry. You've got a forced school lunch program, don't you? Oh, and the same law firm, big law firm, takes down big conservative blogger, and no one points out Soros was a founding funder. But we will. Don't worry. Turkey says migrant deal has ended. May unleash millions of refugees. And I've got all the headlines just from last month saying you will let more in or we will burn down Europe. We're launching a holy war, a jihad. And the day after he said it, truck attacks in England and in France and in Sweden and in Belgium. And it was all just funny because Europeans have no defense mechanism. They have no will to stand up. And Erdogan, the dictator, just laughs and says, start killing. And he's got his companies here everywhere, taking over private schools, you name it, companies just everywhere, because they know how to run stuff, and they know how to donate money, and they know how to sue, and they know how to bully. Well, guess what? You just ran into a Texan. So you get ready, because we're never backing down, and our audience isn't backing down. Turkish minister sent 15,000 migrants a month to Europe to shock them. You're already doing it. Hell, intimidation tactics have been working for over 1,000 years for Islam. They took over much of the Middle East, Europe, much of Africa, Asia. Islam took over all over the place. Our government's been backing it, taking over Serbia, taking over Syria, taking over Egypt, radical Islam. And so it's been working, hasn't it? It's been working to be arrogant. It's been working to be aggressive. It's been working to be in everybody's face. And we just bend over and grovel to the Islamification of Europe and London and every major city. It's truly, truly sickening. But let's get to the rest of the big celebrated lawsuit. Why? Massive news coverage. 6-7 investigative journalists from big globalist media outfits, openly funded by Soros, like Media Matters, The Daily Beast, The Huffington Post, following me everywhere, putting out total lies. But that's okay. Let's gang up on Alex Jones. You know what? I love it. I intended this my whole life to fight tyranny. You guys don't get it. This is the great animated contest. I'm not intimidated by you. I love it. Idaho refugee boys admit to sexually assaulting 5-year-old and pissing in their mouth. Okay. Twin Falls refugee rape special report. Why are refugees moving in? Oh, the Chobani plan. If you want to live here, you need to live by the rules. Guilty pleas in sexual abuse of Twin Falls girls. Our justice long overdue, attorney says. Oh, because for the last year, the MSM said it was a hoax. Because everybody knows Muslims never raped anybody. They never bombed anybody. They never stabbed anybody. And then I've got all these stories. Second doctor charged in genital mutilation case, USA Today, here in the U.S. And that's what Uma Abedin's mother is promoting in America, Hillary's girlfriend. Media meltdown over Trump correctly calling Paris attack happened a few days ago, shooting a bunch of cops. They said it's not Muslims, even though they screamed Allah Akbar and did it. Muslim avoids jail for anally raping teen because he couldn't understand no, and it's his culture. AP charges Fresno shooters words. They change it from Allah Akbar, removes Islam reference. AP. Yeah, you wait till the Idaho jury, brother, sits there and sees all this and knows all this. Won't matter, half of them work at your damn plant. They hate your guts, too. They hate your thuggery. They hate your bullying. They hate your Islamification. They hate your genital mutilation. They hate everything Islam does. And until you denounce it and you try to bring that here, it's on all Muslims' heads. But none of you will decry what you're involved in. Where will you? Where are you? And to be clear, we're just covering a few of the cases. Refugees from Africa, refugees from Iraq, rapes, admitting to it, adults being charged, and all sorts of cover-ups. I mean, this is huge. Everybody knows about the Islamic rape epidemic, and that Sweden's the capital of rape worldwide now. But when Farage says it, they criminally charge him in Europe, saying he can't say that. This is the bullying. They think they've broken our will. They haven't. And so, here's the deal, Mr. Know-it-all. Maybe you don't know what Islam's all about, so you come out and decry it for us. But see, you're not. And you want to sit here and try to intimidate us and shut us up from reporting this, and that's not ever going to happen. Now to the viewers, you want us to fight globalism? The sword of the New World Order is Islam. You want us to stand up for freedom? You want us to promote sovereignty? We're doing it. And I'm very honored to be under attack by all these people. But I'm here to tell you, if you want to support the broadcast, go to InfoWarsStore.com and buy those products. They're great nutraceuticals, great supplements, great non-GMO heirloom seeds, great water filtration, great Patriot apparel to meet like-minded people, great books and films, thousands of great items. But whatever you do, spread the links, spread the articles, spread the word, and say, this is the forbidden sight. This is what the globalists don't want you to see, because we are so effective. They know we got Trump elected. They know you got Trump elected. They know nationalism is rising and globalism is in great crisis. And globalism's alliance with Islam will be their final fall. But you look at this guy that owns Chobani, coming from nowhere, hooked in with George Soros, the UN, involved in this whole program, which the UN admits is meant to end Western civilization. And you understand it's part of a large globalist operation, which we are standing against, and that's why they're trying to shut us down. So if you're not supporting us, if you're not praying for us, if you're not spreading the word about InfoWars, you're doing it to your own detriment. We have products you absolutely need. And they are hoping that you just see us as out there fighting for you and don't realize you're fighting with us. They're hoping you don't take action. Because if you spread the word and spread our articles and videos and get past the censors and the bots, and if you buy our products, nothing can stop you and we will defeat these people. This is my fight. This is your fight. This is our fight against a bunch of authoritarian, globalist, third world populations allied with the global elite who are totally cold-blooded. This is World War III. It's economic, it's cultural, and we will win it. And in closing, this is a spiritual battle. All of us, as imperfect as we are, need to hit our knees before the Son of God, Jesus Christ, and ask that he give us guidance and that he intercede with the Father to give us the will and the determination and the judgment to lead, guide, and direct us with the discernment it takes to break the purely wicked and foul-spirited system of globalism, Islam, and modern liberalism that is all combined as a trifecta of evil against us. But our trifecta is much stronger. You won't find it in the globalist churches. You'll find it in your heart and soul and in your communion with God, in that quiet place of the Most High, that we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and we are unstoppable. But this is the epic fight. And we are standing against the Islamist economic takeover and all their bullying. And if you breathe air into our sails and financially support us and spread our links and articles and pray for us, we are unstoppable because you are unstoppable, because our God, the God of liberty and justice and freedom and life, is the true God and will crush the satanic God of Islam.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
On Saturday, Pope Francis made the outlandish statement that refugee camps are like concentration camps. This is not the first time Pope Francis has made a Nazi reference. In wake of the election of Donald Trump, like a good liberal, the Pope warned of populist leaders like Hitler rising to power. But now the pontiff has made the comparison of refugee camps to concentration camps. What a lewd statement. Refugees are going to these centers to avoid starvation, suffering, and death, while Jewish people were forced into concentration camps with the starvation, suffering, and death. He made this statement while paying tribute to a Christian woman who was slaughtered by Muslims for her faith. He then heartlessly said that international accords seem more important than human rights. The Pope, while at a ceremony honoring modern-day Christian martyrs to Islam, is at the same time shoving open borders down your throat so that all countries can be invaded and murdered by these jihadists as their human right, ignoring anyone else's human right to living in a sovereign country. Funny how the Pope has a problem with refugee camps, still silent on the wars that put them there. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer. Not my Pope.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Alex Jones. Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show on this Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. I'm David Knight. We're going to be joined in the next segment with Gerald Celente. We're going to ask him what he thinks about world politics, where the trends are. Of course, he has Trends Journal. So we're going to talk to Gerald Celente starting in the next segment. But of course, you just heard Alex Jones talking about the lawsuit from Chobani Yogurt founder. And I think it's interesting because today in the news we have Senator Chuck Schumer. And he said this. He said, if Breitbart and New York Times are given equal credibility, you worry about this democracy. And this is a guy who said, the founding fathers, here's this quote. He goes on Morning Joe yesterday. He said, the founding fathers created a country that was based on fact. Well, actually, they created a country that was based on a constitution, on the rule of law. But nevertheless, it was factual. But you don't want to talk about the facts in the Constitution, do you, Senator Schumer? Second Amendment, other things like that. You just don't like that. But he said, then we debated the facts. We debate them at Constitutional Convention. We debate them at the town hall throughout America, but we're supposed to debate them in the legislature. We don't have a fact base if, say, Breitbart News and the New York Times are regarded with equal credibility. You worry about this democracy. Well, you know, the simple fact is that he switches this, of course, from facts to attacking entire news sites. Understand this. The news isn't fake because Breitbart says it. And the news isn't true because the New York Times says it. What a simplistic lie this guy is trying to sell us. Chuck Schumer, one of the founding funders of Chobani Yogurt. And when I did that report, the thing that bothered me about it was the fact that we had this puff PR piece from CBS's 60 Minutes. As we had heard the previous year, oh, this is all a lie. There wasn't anything that even happened. This is all being made up. Snopes said, this is mostly a lie. And of course, they threw in some straw man arguments that were things that I, quite frankly, had not even seen people mention to say that it was mostly fake. But as we saw these people that week admit and plead guilty to felonies, these minors, immediately CBS does this puff PR piece for this guy who is so well connected. It's the crony capitalism. You know, the idea that this guy would be able to buy a yogurt factory with a small business loan, $800,000, $800,000, nearly $1 million. You know, I was in business. My father and both of my grandfathers were in their own small businesses their entire life. They never got a grant from the government. But this guy, who's not even an American citizen, comes in here and they give him nearly $1 million. And what does he do with it? Well, he buys this factory, but then he turns around, he gets an $800,000 loan from a small business association. They have the gall to call him an entrepreneur. I think there's another word for that. Crony capitalist. And what he does, according to the Albany Times Union, is he gets encouragement from New York Senators Chuck Schumer and Gillibrand. So in New York, he cozies up to these people, and according to Open Secrets, he spent $700,000 lobbying them. So he gets $800,000 from the Small Business Association. He spends $700,000 of it lobbying these founding funders that we have in the government now. What a great return on investment, because then with that, he leverages himself into the $15 billion school lunch program. How's that for return on investment? It makes me sick to see this kind of crony capitalism going on, to see our country being colonized. This is neo-colonialism. You know, we used to have bread and circuses in the old Roman Empire. Today, we've got Greek yogurt and video games. Just sit there, American Eloy, while these globalist Morlocks use you for food. Feed off of you. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Gerald Celente.
not laughing at this headline. Survey. 1 in 5 adults in the United Kingdom can't change a light bulb or boil an egg. This according to a survey of more than 2,000 people on their habits around the house. Listen to some of these shocking statistics. 31% of people could not cook a meal without a recipe. 34% of people cannot read a map. 38% of people could not unclog a sink. 47% of people don't know how to check oil levels in a car. 53% of people could not put up a shelf. A shelf! Now, while this survey was done in the UK, I wouldn't be shocked if you got some of the same results in big cities here in the United States. This is a perfect example of how modern-day education systems and lifestyles are domesticating our society so that we cannot function independently.
I am yes! And he interrupted me while I was watching. Oh my God! That is not okay! And I ripped my
Infowars.com. This is Owen Schroyer.
The reason InfoWars Live has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this. My family takes this. And then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLive.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my Super Female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair's luxurious once again. So obviously the Super Female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfoWarsLive.com.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented super filtration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation, it's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight on this Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. We're going to talk to Gerald Celente, the founder and editor of Trends Research Journal and also Trends Research Institute. And, of course, Gerald has been very active in terms of promoting peace around the world. He had the Occupy Peace organization that he set up, had rallies this last fall. So I want to talk to Gerald about how he sees things going economically, but also the war and peace issues, because we're now seeing that Donald Trump talked to the UN National Security Council yesterday at the White House. He'll be meeting, I think it's today, with all 100 senators from within the White House, again, talking about the North Korean situation. And Gerald, let's get your comments on that. Are you optimistic about this working out peacefully, or do you think this is something that they're pushing for war?
I've been hearing about North Korea just about all my life. I mean, this is a poor country. I think North Korea, didn't they invade Iraq because Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction?
That's right. Same playbook, isn't it?
Or was it Libya because Gaddafi has to go? Or maybe it was Syria. I think that they started that with the Arab League. No, I know. North Korea's in Afghanistan for the longest war probably in their history. Oh, no, I think they just sent troops down to Somalia. I mean, this is a country of nothing.
Yeah.
So what this is, it's more war propaganda. It's what Eisenhower warned us of, that the military-industrial complex is robbing the nation of the genius of the scientists, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. Just look what happened last week in the USSA. Hey, lights went out in San Francisco, huh? Hey, all you Silicon Valley cats, no lights on. Hey, what happened there in LA? Woof, went down too. Here in New York, don't take the subway, man. It's a night in Calcutta. They close down all the time, but war everywhere. And when I listen to this guy that's in charge of the Defense Department, James, quote, Mad Dog Mattis, what adult would call himself Mad Dog? And I hear the words that they're speaking. I don't know if it's going to be North Korea, but I'll tell you what I think it's going to be and what we're forecasting. And that is they're heating up a war with Iran. Israel keeps coming out warning us about Iran. Mathis was over there last week with Netanyahu, and they're talking about Iran. You hear Tillerson, one after another, talking about Iran being the greatest sponsor of terrorism in the world. Those are their quotes, not mine. Or to paraphrase, don't want to get sued, Oh, by the way, that Kobani place that you were talking about up here in New York State, I believe, I don't want to be misquoted, but I believe they also got about $5 million in tax breaks.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing that we see happening. And, of course, it's happening in Idaho as well. They get state and local subsidies, just like all the big companies do, for graciously opening up their business. But who pays for that? Individuals, workers, and small businesses subsidize these big corporations, just like the NFL owners and their stadiums. And then he also, Gerald, gets subsidized labor because these refugees come with subsidies from the federal government. So what a deal. You get the government to open up your factory for you, and then they bring in some subsidized labor for you as well.
That's right. Look, it's called the merger of state and corporate powers. A paisano of mine that I'm not too fond of, Mussolini, called it fascism.
Yes.
So let's call a spade a spade. Oh, and I can say that now without being called a racist now that Obama's out of office.
That's right. Yeah, they can, today they don't call it economic fascism, they call it public-private partnerships.
Isn't that nice?
And we're the ones that they're PPPing down our backs and telling us that it's raining, right?
You got it.
Josie Wales, so... Yeah,
it's a day in Slavelandia. So going back to the wars, this country's falling apart at every level. The stock market's not a reflection of what's going on. You guys know the facts. What, 51% of the working people in America with full-time jobs making $30,000 or less? You know the story. 5% of all the dough created since 2009 went to the 95% of all the money went to 5%. So what we're looking at is we're wasting the monies on war. They keep talking about, watch out for the Russians, watch out for the Russians. What's Trump increasing the budget, $54 billion? Russia's total budget, defense budget, ours is over $600 billion. Theirs is $48 billion.
So our increase is way bigger than their entire budget already.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what we're seeing here is an escalation. All of a sudden, one day within 24 hours, what? Sam, boom. Hey, let's send missiles into Syria. We'll show them. Hey, how about the mother of all bombs? And by the way, where's the father of all bombs? Who are they going to drop that one on? I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that interests me, too, and of course you understand this, Gerald, that as we're talking about refugees, as we're talking about the war, this is all related to regime change. This is part of the globalist plan to flood our countries, to flood the West with refugees fleeing the war. One of the things that I objected to about this puff piece that CBS 60 Minutes did with Ulukaya was the fact that he comes on and they just portrayed him as a jobs creator. We just talked about all the subsidies that he gets for his factories and his workers, but he said, they're not refugees if you give them a job. Well, you know what? They're not refugees if you stop the war that you created in their country to drive them in. And Gerald, we've just seen the Russians as well as the Chinese move massive amounts of military to the border that they have with North Korea because they're concerned about a massive flood of refugees coming into their country. If there is a economic meltdown from the sanctions or if there is a war, they know they can't absorb massive amounts of refugees. No country can. It isn't a racist thing. It isn't that the Chinese are racist against the North Koreans or the Russians are racist against them. You simply can't do it. That's the way you destroy a country. So they have positioned their troops there at the border. Of course, we don't have troops to protect our borders because we're abroad fighting wars everywhere, aren't we?
Yes, and that's part of OccupyPeace.us because it's only about us. And that's one of the things. Close all the bases overseas, bring the troops back, and protect our borders.
Yes.
That's one of the elements. The other one, of course, is force Congress to vote to go to war rather than El Presidente of Los Estados Unidos. It's a violation of the Constitution, and Congress has not voted to go to war since World War II. And number three is to have a ballot on each state, a referendum where we'll tell Congress how to vote because they don't send their kids to vote to fight wars. We do.
That's
so
right.
We pay for the war with our money and our lives. And I want to go back to what you said first about the refugee problem. And you're one of the few people that also says it. What caused the refugee problem? Why don't we put together a blue ribbon panel and maybe we could figure it out? You mean you only
do a government-funded study, yeah.
Yeah, you mean you destroyed Iraq, killed over 1 million people? Oh, I wonder how they got radicalized. Can't figure that one out either.
That's right.
Oh, in Afghanistan. Oh, they're coming from Afghanistan? Wonder why. And you know the fact, David, that when Gaddafi warned Europe that if they took him down, the refugees would be flowing into Italy and into Europe. And because he had made a deal with Berlusconi and the other leaders of European countries that he would prohibit the flood of migrants coming out of Africa, the poorer countries, and going from Libya into Europe. And then when the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, the arrogant Obama, said Gaddafi has to go, we wrote about it in the Trends Journal in the summer edition 2011. Over 500,000 Libyans escaped the slaughter that those liberals are so sorry that the Obama and Hillary Clinton are gone that caused it. Oh, yeah. No one talks about how this happened. And one other point I'd like to make in what you said. It's not racist if you don't want refugees. Go back to the Great Depression. I mentioned how bad this country is doing for we the little people who have to work for a living. When the Depression hit, they stopped everybody from coming in until the country rebuilt itself. We have 320 million people. We can't take care of our own. I got a great idea. Let's bring in another 100 million.
Yes. It's an engineered takedown. And as you point out, they knew this. They were warned by Gaddafi. And of course, as this thing was going on, we have emails that WikiLeaks gave us where they're talking about the fact that fighters are coming into Libya. They're identifying people just by identifying them as being black and killing them. So you talk about Black Lives Matter. Well, it didn't really matter to Hillary Clinton or to Barack Obama when they wanted to do the takedown of Libya. They want to create chaos and war in these countries so they can create a flood of refugees and tell us there's nothing that can be done about it. We just have to bring these people in. So then they can create chaos and terrorism in our countries as well. That's what the whole plan is. That's what concerns me so much about this turnaround with the Trump administration. We didn't vote for this. We didn't vote for Lindsey Graham. But now Lindsey Graham is ecstatic about the government that he has. He says it's what he's wanted for 8 years. He's so excited about this. I'm very concerned about it, quite frankly. I see Paul Wolfowitz, very optimistic now about Trump. Elliot Abrams loves him. The only thing wrong with Trump, says Elliot Abrams, is he's got to get rid of Steve Bannon. So when I look at these things, it really concerns me, the direction that they're going. After making a very initial, a great start, I'm really worried about where this is going. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Gerald Celente.
What is going on when we're all Russian agents? I support Trump. I get the missile attack made him look strong. I'm just saying I don't believe the chemical attack was Assad because they've caught the rebels doing it before, and they don't have any proof he did it. I'm not even attacking Trump. In fact, in a Machiavellian way, I'm saying, okay, you blow up an empty airfield and shut them up about how you're a Russian agent. I kind of sickly support it. I've admitted that. Kind of becoming like Machiavelli, because now we've got a guy in there doing their own tricks against them. But I'm just saying, how do we know Assad did it? And now in newspapers everywhere, I am an Assad agent. We're together. Look at us. We got together. Are you getting orders from Assad?
Yeah, I was just talking to him on the phone right now. He's actually here via Skype on the other TV. But my thing with that is I don't care. I don't care if it was actors. I don't care if they just had kids go like that. The big picture is that the world saw a bad thing, so the big man has to go boom on the bad thing. And now women respect him. Here in America, they go, oh, the patriarchy's back. Because we know feminists deep down want the patriarchy. Obama's legacy is obliterated because he said he would draw a line in the sand and he got cucked. So that's awesome. He's killed, as you say, the Russian theory. I think the neocons even are getting too much hubris, too confident. They're going to be wiped out. And the biggest picture is these terrorists are absolute animals. They dismember our soldiers. They tear out beating hearts and eat them. They sell fingers in the market there as war trophies. There's literally a market for body parts, just as accoutrements. So we don't negotiate with them. We don't send them democracy. We just scare them with huge fireworks.
They dropped this 20-something thousand pound bomb and it kills them all. I mean, that's it finally. And then they say, oh, he wants a military dictatorship. He says, I've given them total authorization. There's this to carry out his constitutional orders. This micromanaging, call Obama, and he would never answer the phone. Sir, we have bin Laden in the sights. We can't kill him. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is crazy. Gavin, what do you make of that?
I think we've crippled our guys over there. I was talking to Terry Shapper recently, and I said, how do we win this war? And he goes, let us do our job. I mean, right now, they've got RPGs, and they go, we're getting shot at from a mosque. What do we do? And they've got to call up. I talked to one vet who told me, he said, our guy had to pretend he misunderstood in order to save our lives. Because they were shooting from the mosque, and the guy said, don't shoot the mosque. And he said, what was that? What? Shoot the mosque? Oh, what? And they took out the guys that were trying to kill them. We've got to let our dogs loose on these boys. I want the terrorists to be going, who, let the dogs out, as we just roar through the Middle East. Short, sharp shock, by the way. I don't want a quagmire. I want to get out and scare the crap out of them.
Dr. Grip, you developed Living Defense for us. It took you over a year to do it. Why is this so good?
Because people are actually waking up to the problem that pretty much scares me the most. I mean, I try to make sure that I don't put toxins from food and water and beverages in my system. But right now, we're dealing with massive parasites, which is anything that's harmful to your body that lives off a host mechanism. Right now, with all the refugees spreading disease around, we have biological warfare going on everywhere. These are all parasites.
Tell us about all the stuff that said there's so many things that are in it.
You have the neem in there. You have the organic clove bud, the organic wormwood. I recommend doing a parasite cleanse at least twice a year.
All right, well, I'm glad we got some back in because I'm going back on it today. It just came back in yesterday. Living Defense, InfoWarsLife.com. And folks, you can't lose. It's full of stuff that's great for your body, period. And you support the broadcast, InfoWarsLife.com. Thank you, Dr. Grip from the Global Healing Center. Thank you so much for all your work, sir, on this great product.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. We're going to be going back to Gerald Celente in just a moment. As I pointed out earlier, we have Chuck Schumer saying that there is an existential threat to democracy if they lose the domination of the narrative. That's why he comes out and says, hey, if you say Breitbart and New York Times are given equal credibility, then democracy will collapse. No, their control of our government will collapse. If people start to look not at the source, but at what people are saying, then it will collapse. We want you to think for yourself. Then you have to understand this lawsuit from Chobani is about trying to silence alternative media, alternative to the Mockingbird media that the CIA has been controlling the narrative with for a very long time. It's not about the source. It's about the information. You're intelligent enough to read the information to make that decision for yourself, but they don't want you to hear any voices other than theirs, other than their controlled New York Times. And we have pointed this out for a very long time. And we're winning this information war. That's why they're coming at us now with the lawsuits. That's why they're going after people at Fox News. Anybody they think is conservative, they're coming after them, talking about sexual harassment, even going after Sean Hannity, one of the nicest guys in media, probably, and trying to make up charges about him. He's not going to take it. We're not going to take it. But we need your support. And we do appreciate your support. And we have to offer you something for your support. We have dropped Caveman, which we had for 33%. We've taken an additional 20% off. So it's now 53% off. That's our true paleo formula. And as we've talked about before, bone broth, homemade soups, chicken soups, that's something that people have known about for a very long time. It's very effective in terms of a primal superfood. But we've taken the nutrients that are in high-quality bone broth, and we've combined that with other things like turmeric root. Look up turmeric root. Look at the health benefits of just that one thing. But, of course, it's got bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, bee pollen, all these different things. It's the ultimate in paleo nutrition. Now, 53% off. That's the deepest I've seen anything discounted at InfoWars. You can see that at InfoWarsStore.com. Also, we have a limited supply of DNA Force. It's about to come to InfoWarsStore.com. It's been sold out for a while, but we're going to set it up so that you now get on a waiting list. So you'll be the first to know when it's available. And you can sign up for that at InfoWarsStore.com. Gerald, we've been talking about war and peace. We've been talking about how excited Lindsey Graham is and Paul Wolfowitz. I want to also talk to you, you may want to say some more about that, but I also want to talk about the election that's going on in France. And this Rothschild banker that comes in, they talk about him as being a centrist so much you would think that was his first name. He's actually a central bankerist, isn't he? Macron.
Yes, he is. And first, I'd like to say that I buy Alex Jones health products, and I recommend them to everyone.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, they're terrific. So
I use them myself too. It's especially Brain Force. I've used them on a regular basis, and it really does make a difference for me. Really helps me focus my thoughts. Brain Force does. So I really appreciate that. Thank you for supporting us. Really do.
Yeah, and everyone listening, really, if they want to keep the truth out and free, it's very important that they support shows like yours and put their money where their mind is.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, as I call them, the prostitute media. First, we were talking about little Chucky Schumer, a little boy of nothing. Why would any thinking adult listen to a little clown of nothing like him, Lindsey Graham, John Insane McCain, what's that other guy, Paulie, what did he play, Eddie Munster Ryan? I mean, look at these. Diane Not-So-Feinstein, Nancy Out-of-Her-Mind Pelosi. What adults would listen to these people throw out their crap and swallow it?
Yeah, no,
having a discussion of what they think shows you what lunacy is going on.
You know, there's an interesting headline, Gerald, about Paul Ryan. They call him on WND. They said, he's Beaver Cleaver at home, but he's Eddie Haskell in D.C. That's a perfect description.
I mean, it's a little... by the way, as you know, my career, I began in politics. I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County. I was a number 2 guy right out of graduate school running the mayoral campaign of Yonkers, not a small city, about 300,000 people. I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. I designed and instructed American politics and campaign technology and taught it at St. John's University, and I could go on. I'm making the point that these people, all these names that we mentioned, these are the same people you couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, we would add to that list Nikki Haley, who this month is head of the UN Security Council, so she gets to show all of her pictures to get people to go to war. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Gerald Celente.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
InfoWars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds, even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary processing technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender Armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win.
On Saturday, Pope Francis made the outlandish statement that refugee camps are like concentration camps. This is not the first time Pope Francis has made a Nazi reference. In wake of the election of Donald Trump, like a good liberal, the Pope warned of populist leaders like Hitler rising to power. But now the pontiff has made the comparison of refugee camps to concentration camps. What a lewd statement. Refugees are going to these centers to avoid starvation, suffering, and death, while Jewish people were forced into concentration camps with the starvation, suffering, and death. He made this statement while paying tribute to a Christian woman who was slaughtered by Muslims for her faith. He then heartlessly said that international accords seem more important than human rights. The Pope, while at a ceremony honoring modern-day Christian martyrs to Islam, is at the same time shoving open borders down your throat so that all countries can be invaded and murdered by these jihadists as their human right, ignoring anyone else's human right to living in a sovereign country. Funny how the Pope has a problem with refugee camps, still silent on the wars that put them there. For Infowars.com, this is Owen Schroyer. Not my Pope.
I'm going to lay it out short and sweet. I got so dedicated to fighting the globalists and their program for world government that I stopped working out. I was a total fitness nut 20 years ago. About 15 years ago, I just stopped working out. I gained close to 100 pounds. I have lost 50, 60 pounds of fat or more. I've gained 20 pounds of muscle. I'm stronger than I was when I was 22, when I could bench press close to 400 pounds and squat 600. It's actually scary. And it's because I take products that our researchers developed that block the estrogen mimickers that basically feminize men. We've produced these products with top scientists and researchers like Dr. Group to help you counteract the globalist onslaught and at the same time support InfoWars and our fight to promote human liberty and freedom.
You found it, the tip of the spear. It is the Alex Jones Show. And now, your host, David Knight.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show on this Tuesday, April 25th, 2017. I'm David Knight, and we're talking to Gerald Celente of TrendsResearch.com. Of course, he publishes Trends Journal. He looks at political and economic trends. I want to talk to Gerald now about the French elections. And, of course, the mainstream media just loves Macron. As the Washington Post says, he's a 39-year-old centrist. They all say he's a centrist. He jets to Berlin to give speeches in English. The blue and yellow banner of the EU flutters off his campaign headquarters. And, of course, Nigel Farage says, well, he gave his acceptance speech with the EU banner fluttering behind him. That says it all. And I would agree. It says it all as long as he would maybe put a corporate sponsorship of Rothschild Bank on his suit like a NASCAR racer, because these are the guys who put him in there. And one last thing here. Washington Post, talking about the European Union. They call it a 28-nation club, maybe making a comeback. You know what? As George Carlin said, it's a club, and you ain't in it, folks. You got no say about what's going on in this special club, and we need to get out of that club and take our governments back. That's what this election is about, isn't it, Gerald?
It is. And again, you pointed out, too, they use the term centrist. Oh, yeah, what's a centrist? I mean, it's so moronic. Call it right wing, left wing. Grow up. And when you look, you know what the French people just did? They're putting in their Obama. That's all this guy is.
Yes.
He's another Obama. Another guy full of crap that knows nothing. Another little boy that lies his way into office and won't do anything other than keep the status quo going. Another little liar that plays whatever is being played out, capitalizes on it, wins over those people, and then plays the centrist role, which actually means keeping the club, as you mentioned, George Carlin. We're not members in it, never will be. Keeping them from keeping them alive so they can rape every dime and life out of us that they can. So that's who they put into office. So now we have to say the French were as stupid as everybody else, and I used to think that they were really smart. But boy, but look who they had. Look at the clown that they got there now, Hollande. Yeah. Look at the jerk they had behind him, a little warmonger of a nothing guy, Sarkozy, that took out, along with Obama, and another little jerk, I should say wanker because he's English, Cameron, who also just started the war in Libya. So when you look around the world and look what you have, I guess the people are getting what they deserve because they're putting in one little jerk after another.
Yes, and of course, when you're talking about Sarkozy and Hollande, who is the first French president to not run for re-election, why? One of the reasons is because he angered his socialist base by pandering to the bankers in Brussels. And the guy who enacted those policies was Macron, who Hollande brought into his administration because Rothschild wanted him there. Basically, he bought his way out of his government service for 50,000 euros, then spending 4 years with Rothschild, he becomes extremely wealthy, and then they insert him into a socialist government. So that's why you had this fracturing of the Socialist Party there. But of course, they also reported how he was partying after the election with Sarkozy and all of his bling-bling celebrities, which is what they call them in France. So this is a guy who is equally at home with all of the establishment. That's why they call him a centrist, because they don't want to label him as being with one party or the other. No, he's with the globalists in Brussels. He's with the bankers. He's a central bankerist is what he is.
You see now, in what they will try to do, but of course they can't do it with this one, is call you, Mr. Knight, a conspiracy theorist. Oh yeah, the fact is, this cat is from the Rothschild Club. He has his credentials right there. Here are the papers. Does anybody need any more proof? No, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm not. Here's the proof. Oh, yeah, just because he was the Rothschilds, that doesn't mean he was with the Rothschilds. Just like they got that other Slimer over there, who's the head of the ECB, Mario Draghi. Yeah, the former head of the Goldman Sachs gangs division over there in Europe, now running the European Central Bank. Hey, let's take a trip to the UK. Who's the central bankster in charge over there? Carney. Yeah, Carnival Man. Oh, yeah, wasn't he with Goldman Sachs, too? Hey, look at the clown running Australia. Turnbull, or is it Turn BS Bull? Yeah, another Goldman Sachs cat, huh? One after another.
That's right.
It's a banker takeover. Oh, and everybody out there say, oh, Salenti, lower your voice, you're becoming angry. Hey, get this in your head. If Jesus Christ could pick up a whip and drive the money changers out of the temple, hey, an act of violence, right, by the Prince of Peace, to get rid of the banksters that were ruining people's lives, I could be angry about it because I don't like getting shafted by the Wall Street gang and the Goldman Sachs gang, the Merrill Lynch mob, and all of the rest. Oh, and all you liberals out there that are crying your crocodile tears that Hitler didn't win and Obama's gone, he didn't prosecute one of the criminals that committed felonies, convicted of felonies, the banks, not one head rolled. Oh, just like this little clown that just got elected in France, Obama lied his way into office promising we, the little people, that the banksters would pay for their criminal acts, and didn't bring one of them to justice. You know what they call bringing people to justice? Killing somebody overseas. I brought Osama bin Laden to justice. I blew his brains out. Oh, I didn't do it. I hired my front men to do it because I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag. But we'll call it bringing them to justice. That's how distorted it's become. And what you said before, David, about this becoming a neo-colonial society, it's a neo-feudal society. There's different rules for the political nobility and the economic elite.
Yeah, well, the economic elite want to eliminate the Western middle class. And so that's exactly what they're doing. You have this guy, Macron. We talked about it at the end of February. February 27th, we had an article at Infowars.com. Le Pen's Rothschild rival, who says Muslim mass migration is unstoppable. He said, get used to it. He said, we've entered a world of great migrations, and we will have more of it. We will have more of it because that's what they want. That's what the bankers want. They want to take down the middle class in America and Western Europe. They want to have a clash of cultures. They want to have chaos. They want to have terrorism. So they will be in the catbird seat here. He says, we've entered a world of great migrations. He goes, it's going to be, in the coming decades, migrations from geopolitical conflicts that, of course, the bankers will set up. Rich man's war, poor man's fight. And they're going to bring the fight home to our shores. That's what they're going to do with this mass migration that is the aftermath of these wars that they want to set up abroad.
Yeah, and again, you know, as we talk about bringing in migrants and other people coming into the country and the people that support it, here's what I say to them. Open your house to them. Bring them in. Yeah. Pay for their health care. Pay for their education. You want them in? Bring them in. I don't want them in.
Yeah, adopt them yourself. Be responsible for them. Yes.
Exactly. I don't want to bring in another person into this country until this nation rebuilds itself. Look here. You picked up today's Wall Street Journal. I was just looking at it. We're ready to go on the air. You look at the front page story. Parents are drowning in college loan debt. Over 330,000 in the United States in U.S. programs haven't made a payment in at least a year.
Wow.
We're suffering in this country economically. Again, only the economic elite are making it to the top. So it does not make sense to me to bring in more people when you can't take care of your own. And again, all these people that are shooting off their mouths and taking to the streets in these protests, bring them into your house, put your money where your mouth is. Educate them, pay for their health care, feed them. We can't feed our own right now, and you want to bring in more? It doesn't make sense to me.
A good example of that is the H-1B visa program. Of course, they say we have to bring in these individuals. Sometimes there's a reason to bring in somebody who's a specialist in another field, but that's not the way they're using it. They're using it to replace people in many middle-level positions because they can hire cheaper labor from India or other places, just as we saw at Disney and elsewhere. They told the Americans, you're going to train your replacements that we're bringing in here under the H-1B visa program, or you're not going to get any kind of severance pay out of this. So they basically twist their arms doing that. But they're bringing in these people, in many cases, putting out engineers at entry-level positions, people who've gone to college to get a degree. They've gone into debt to get a degree. But also we have illegal aliens who come in here under the Dreamer program. And, Gerald, they get in-state tuition because even though, at any state that they want to go to. I mean, even Americans, they're always put ahead of the line of Americans, even when it comes to something like that. An American, if you have to live in that particular state, and only in that state can you get an in-state tuition. If you're a foreign citizen criminally trespassing in this country, you can go anywhere you want and get at the head of the line.
You know, David, I wrote about H-1B visas in my book, Trends 2000, an international bestseller back in 1996. I showed how it was a whole scheme from Silicon Valley to bring in cheap labor so they wouldn't have to pay the people in this country a living wage when they could get away with it. And the entire push to bring in immigrants and refugees going back was the National Association of Manufacturers, when we had manufacturers in this country, and Silicon Valley. It was a con job by the Silicon con men to bring in cheap labor. That's all of this is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've seen some movement by the Trump administration to curb that. That's one of the things that he had talked about in his campaign, and I'm glad to see him do it. One of the things, too, Gerald, and I wanted to get your take on this, was we saw today that they announced that the Trump administration is going to look at the abuse that the executive orders that Barack Obama filed to use the Antiquities Act to take massive amounts of land, especially throughout the West. He was calling everything a monument, part of the Antiquities Act, which would have been set up to save some specific artifact of culture. And just like he abused the 1917 Espionage Act, he also abused this ancient piece of legislation to take millions upon millions of acres. And this is something that is a big issue out West. And the Trump administration has now taken the lead, saying that they're going to go back and look about 20 years at the abuse of this particular tactic and possibly undo some of these takings of land.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, so I'm not going to really comment on it. I haven't really been following that. But what again, there are, on the economic issues, I agree a lot of what Trump is doing. And when you looked at the poll that came out, for example, and his low ratings is 100, the first 100 days, but then you look at what his most popular position on that polling is, 73% of the people support him for his wanting to bring back jobs and create jobs in the United States.
That's right, putting America first.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in those issues, I'm totally for it. On the foreign policy issues, he's done a 180 on it.
Yes.
He came out and said how useless NATO is, which it is, and now he's backtracked on that.
And the UN. And the UN, as he was saying, the UN is doing an awful job, and yet what do we see? We see him going exactly the opposite. You're talking about the Occupy Peace situation. I'm very concerned that he brings in the United Nations Security Council to the White House before he talks to anybody from Congress. And it sounds like the type of thing that we saw going back a few years ago when Jeff Sessions was talking to Leon Panetta. We all remember that clip. And Jeff Sessions is saying, well, what would you do? And and Leon Panetta says, well, we might notify you after the fact, but we're going to make the decision with the UN and with NATO, and we might advise Congress after the fact. And Jeff Sessions says, wait a minute, you're a congressman. You know what the Constitution says. Congress is supposed to declare the war according to the law. And they have this back and forth. But now it looks like that's what's going on with North Korea. We'll have to wait and see. But it certainly is troubling for me to see the order in which this is happening. First the UN, then the Senate, then the House is going to be advised by the White House.
And again, you look at who he's stacked the administration with.
Yes.
Loaded with defense contractors and generals. I want to read you a quote. This is a guy, our U.S. Defense Secretary, Mattis, Mad Dog. Quote, you go into Afghanistan, you got guys who slap women around for 5 years because they don't wear a veil. Guys like that ain't got no manhood anyway. It's a hell of a lot of fun to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is coming from an adult. Here's another one from him. I'm going to plead with you, do not cross us. If you do, survivors will write about what we do here for 10,000 years. He's talking about the U.S. occupation of Afghanistan. What are we doing over there? It was a war. I broke up George Bush's speech to the American people in one of our Trends Journal 9 days after 9/11. I wrote, this is how I began it. Only a madman would speak these words, and only people dumbstruck with fear would believe them, and believe they did. There was no proof of anything that we should have gone into Afghanistan. There's a man by the name of Osama bin Laden, and he'd been hiding there. Yes, so? Well, we're going to go over there, and we're going to get rid of those Taliban. Oh, the Taliban. Hey, isn't that what Jimmy Carter created to get the Russians out of there? Oh, no, it's the Mujahideen, too. Oh, that's the one. Osama bin Laden was part of. I mean, everybody forgets these things.
Well, of course, they've got a lot of lithium, Gerald. They got a lot of lithium that they use for batteries. They're the lithium. They are to lithium what Saudi Arabia is to oil. That's one of the reasons that we're there. Of course, they also have massive production of poppies for the opiates, and that has skyrocketed since we've gone back there. So we've got real reasons for being there, don't we, Gerald?
Well, no, the reason they invaded Libya and Iraq was because of their broccoli crops. It wasn't because they were sitting on Libya, the finest sweet crude on the planet that only cost $1 to get out of the ground, and the 10th largest oil reserves. And what does Iraq have? The second or third largest oil reserves. You know, it had nothing to do with that, of course.
And Syria doesn't have anything to do with the pipelines that are competing to come across. It has nothing to do with any of that.
It has to do with freedom and democracy.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with Gerald Celente. You can find him at trendsresearch.com. That's Trends Research Journal. That's what you can find there. Get the subscription, and we'll be right back with Gerald Celente. Stay with us.
You provided Alex with the caveman.
Well, so we've been formulating this stuff for a while, and we've been getting these different flavors, and I don't know about this one, and so I've been taking that stuff, and I'm an old man. I'm 42. I work out 5 times a week, if not more.
I hear you're okay in jiu-jitsu. That's what I hear.
I'm not. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. But the point is that I have a lot of aches and shoulders, and this weird joint stuff that I've had issues with for years. And this bone broth, the caveman bone broth, along with our joint formula, has just worked magic for me. And that's just, that's just from my personal experience. I think they're great products, and I think if anybody else has those issues, that you should definitely, you owe it to yourself to check it out. If I'm wrong, then hey man, write me a mean letter. But let me tell you, they work for me. And so,
they work for me too. We were talking about this earlier. Du and I play basketball, and I'm just now, for the first time in my life, I'm 27 now. After I play basketball, my knees are barking. But the bone broth and the joint formula, like you just said, you combine those two. I felt the difference immediately. I felt it immediately.
Yeah, and it actually tastes good. Like, I'm really picky, and I will drink it. It tastes good to me. I love chocolate, so I really like the flavor of the caveman. So, if the bone broth is really that gross, I would never have known, because it tastes really good. And my favorite is the Super Female Vitality. So, ladies, get yourself some Super Female Vitality if you haven't already, because it just gets me going. I'll take a whole bunch of that stuff before I go out and do my...
your wife then too, your girlfriend.
Right? I go and take a bunch of it before I go do Man on the Street, and I just start running, zipping around, running right into the action. No fear, nothing, so...
Well, that's a big primary part about, fighting the globalists, is making sure that we stay healthy and stay clear-eyed and stay honest and stay humble. I hope that we do that here at InfoWars. We got a lot going on, and we're in the middle of the fight, so we really appreciate it when anybody supports us, either by purchasing our products, or you can even go onto our store and donate. We're doing this by the skin of our teeth. I know it looks like we're in a $1 billion studio, but Alex has never taken 1 cent of borrowed money at all whatsoever. This is all money that's come from you, the listeners. So you've literally built this place, built this place with your compassion, and built this place with the support that you've sent us. So from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it, because I know we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't have a voice if it wasn't for you. So once again, we got to thank the listeners for their steadfastness in supporting us. And even when we make mistakes, and even when we're not right, and even when we might go a little bit crazy, you guys stick with us, and I appreciate that.